Hi there, this is Jenny from the Sewing Palace. I'm trying a Facebook Live this morning, or this afternoon. It's the day before Halloween, and I got inspired by a event that we had in the store yesterday. We had a virtual Accu quilt event, and that event showed us how the Accu quilt cutting system works. So today I just wanted to show you a couple of blocks that are really simple, and I got inspired with making some Halloween blocks because it's tomorrow. So wanted to shout out a happy Halloween to everybody. I hope you all have lots of candy and yummy stuff. But these are pretty simple blocks. You could do it without the Accu quilt cutting system, but I thought it was kind of fun to break down a block and look at it without thinking about what you're going to do. So I really got excited because one of the presenters made a cat quilt, and I'm going to switch my camera so you can see me over here. But the cat quilt was these cute little blocks right here, and I want to show you how she made those. And then I came up with the pumpkin block this morning by just looking at some of the units that Accu quilt cuts. So first I'm going to show you the cube that we're going to use and what it cuts. So let me show you that. And that is the mix and match cube. Now it comes, I think, in 5 different sizes. The one that I'm using today is the 8-inch, and it cuts a bunch of different shapes, and it will make 72 different quilt blocks. But this one in particular, I'm going to use 2 of the dies from, and let me show you those dies just real quick on a different camera so you can kind of see them. I'm going to use a square die and then a rectangle die. So right here are my 2 dies that I'm going to be using. The square die is just a solid square. Now I'm using the 8-inch cube today, so this square is 4 inches. All right, so this is die number 1 out of the mix and match cube. And then the other die I'm going to be using is the number 8, and it actually makes 2 rectangles. There's a little piece right here, and that actually has a blade in there, so that's going to cut rectangles. Then I'm going to be using another cube system, and it's the corners. It's a companion, and when you buy the companions, you want to make sure that you buy the size of that matches your cube. So I'm using the 8-inch companion corners, so that will cut different shapes, and I'll show you the 2 shapes I'm going to use for that. So the shapes out of the corners is this one. It kind of looks like a snowball block, and it actually has, we had a little crash in the background. Everyone's okay, I promise. We have a little blade that runs through here, so that will cut down the center, and then you won't have your corners on the side of it. So it looks like a snowball block, but that's one that we'll use. And then we'll use this one, and I'm sorry, the number on this one is 11.1. So the snowball looking one is 11.1. And then the other one that we're going to use out of the corner system is the 12.1, and it's these little tiny half square triangles. What's cool about Accu quilt is it cuts the dog ears off. So these are going to be the little dog ears, and it adds your 1/4 of an inch seam. So we've got half square triangles, some rectangles, some squares, and some kind of unusual shapes, the little snowball. So let's go back to a different camera and kind of break down our block just a little bit. All right, so here is the cat block. And this cat block is made out of just two different fabrics. Right here is one of the rectangles. Right here is 2 units out of the snowball, and then these are the little tiny corners, and then again a rectangle, and then 2 little corners there. And then the pumpkin block, I actually use the solid square, which cuts you a solid square. Now remember, that could be any size you want. I'm doing a 4-inch, so that looked like this. And then I added the little tiny corners on the side of it, so I use that die. So I'm going to show you how I cut some of them, and I'm going to show you how they go together. I think first you'll see them go together because that make a little bit more sense. So let me switch cameras one more time. All right, that camera took a little nap, so there, it woke back up. Wonderful. Right here, I have my cat block. So if you look here, there is a rectangle. There's also a rectangle above it. And I just added 2 of those little corners onto that. And what's cool about this system, when you go to sew this, see if I can get it centered here, you turn this right sides together. You'd think that would be an easy task right now. Obviously, it's not. All right, I've lay them right sides together, and I line up the straight edge of the fabric with the rectangle. So this little triangle is going to straight edge with that rectangle. Line that up so that they match on both sides, and then you're going to sew a 1/4 of an inch seam. You'll trim away the background and then flip it out. So you'll have something that looks kind of like this. This is the cat ears. If only I had a 3rd arm right now, right? All right, next one is the face of the cat. Pretty simple, just the little rectangle. Then the bottom of the cat's face is that other unit that kind of looks like a snowball, but remember it cut it into quarters. So those 2 quarters go here. And then what's cool about this unit is it actually cuts the triangle off. So there we have the cat block. Pretty simple, right? Rectangles and really just triangles and rectangles. Then the pumpkin block is the solid square, and then I use those little tiny triangles in the corner to make a snowball block. And I just used orange in the center. Your pumpkins could be whatever color they want to be. They could be brown or bright red, but that's the beginning of my pumpkin block. Then I added a rectangle to the top, and then I used some felt to make the stem. So let me show you that close up real quick. There's my little pumpkin block. So right here, that's just a little bit of felt that I used with some fusible web. All right, let me show you cutting real quick. So when you're going to cut with the Accu quilt system, you're going to have your dies and you're going to have your mat and some fabric. So if I wanted to cut those little tiny triangles, which I know you can imagine cutting all these would be challenging, it's going to cut 4 at a time, and you can line up 6 layers of fabric. So if I wanted a bunch of black cat ears, I would collect whatever I wanted my cat color to be, and I can actually layer so that I have multiple layers of fabric here. So I would fan fold the fabric. That's 4 layers. I'm going to do it one more time. And I've got 6 layers of fabric here. Then the next thing that you do is you cover it with a mat, and then it's going to feed in the cutting unit. Now this could go into the other Accu quilt systems. There's a Go Me, there's a Go Big. This is the Ready Set Go. It's our most popular one just because it has lots of things included with it in a package, and it actually has the 8-inch cube system with it, which is really cool, and that's one of the dies that I'm using today. Now I'm not using all the dies in the cube, I'm just using a little from each. But then when you're done, what's cool is all these triangles are all cut. Isn't that cool? And they're perfect. So I've got oodles of cat ears already cut, and that's where those guys will go. This was used for the pumpkin, so I just layered a bunch of oranges and cut that. This one was used for the bottom of the cat, for his face. That cut this unit here. Okay, and then I sewed those 2 together for the bottom of the cat face. Now they already have the seam allowances figured into this, so that's the cool part, is you don't have to figure out this math. And then last I cut quite a few rectangles for the top. The other thing I used was, this is some felted wool. So it's actually hand dyed. It's got a little bit of modeling of color in it. And I used a product called Steam-A-Seam, and I fused that to the back. And then I just freehand cut a pumpkin stem out of that, whatever shape you want. And there's still paper on here. That's what the white color is. But once you've got your stem cut, kind of looks like a little hat. I don't know if you guys could see me cutting because I was looking down. But then when you have your pumpkin block, so this one's a pumpkin without a stem, you peel off the paper. Got a little static, it's sticking to me. You peel off the paper and then you put on your pumpkin stem. So pretty simple, very basic blocks, kind of fun to make. And I started this last night and this morning. I just started making a couple of blocks. So this is some pumpkin blocks using the Accu quilt cutting system. We use the 8-inch cube and the 8-inch corners to make some cat blocks and pumpkin blocks. We wish you a very happy Halloween. Enjoy lots of chocolate and hope it's not too spooky. Take care. This is Jenny from the Sewing Palace. Bye-bye.